Mostly flown by Flight Lieutenant Henry Lardner-Burke, a South African pilot, who achieved 3.5 confirmed victories in this aircraft during the very intense combat over the next month, including the downing of one of the brand new Focke-Wulf Fw 190s. After its service with the RAF, it was transferred to the Royal Netherlands Air Force. Saw further action during operations in Java. Not only providing air support to the army through strafing runs and ground attack sorties, but also in dropping supplies to the ground forces. It was eventually transferred to the Belgian Air Force before retiring finally from active service in 1956. Post-military service career was actually as remarkable as its military one. Took part in such famous films as The Longest Day and indeed The Battle of Britain, the Harry Saltzman film of 1966. But it was after it was transferred to Spitfire Productions Limited, where Ray Hanna, the legendary display pilot, got his hands on it. Ray was to fly the aircraft on countless displays, a great many film and television appearances, but probably the most famous is when he flew under the Winston Bridge. Now, the Winston Bridge is not wide and it is not high. In fact, the width of the bridge is very little more than a Spitfire's wingspan, but Ray actually flew under it for the television series A Piece of Cake. And boy, did they have a lot of cameras on that shoot. Spitfire Mk.IX, of course, was produced in greater numbers than any other Merlin-engined Mark of Spitfire, but it was one of those wonderful British, I don't know, lash-ups, I suppose is what you'd call it, because what you're looking at is actually a Mark V airframe. And they've cut the nose off, which had a Merlin 45 in it, was producing around about 1,400 horsepower. The Germans had just introduced the Focke-Wulf 190, and he was found to be able to outperform the Spitfire Mark V at all altitudes. And the Spitfire Mark V squadrons were getting an absolute bashing over Europe. Something had to be done, it had to be done fast. Supermarine were developing the Mk.IX with the 60 series Merlin, the two-stage supercharger. So they took a Mark V on the production line, changed the engine bearers, and put a much bigger and longer 66 Merlin in it. Now with the two-stage supercharger, that solved all the performance problems. The Spitfire Mk.IX, as it became known, was able to best the Focke-Wulf 190 at any altitude.
With his friend.
And he once again re-established their superiority over the Channel. The only problem is not only the 60 series Merlin longer than the earlier 45, it's also heavier. So if you look, there's a little panel underneath the tailplane you can take off. And if you look at it, you'll find a huge number of lead weights just to balance the airframe. It's perfectly true, as I said. However, it turned out to be such a high-performance airplane that it went on to be produced in greater numbers than any other Merlin engine variant. I do love the idea of them just cutting the engine bearers off one on the production line. That's, you know, adaptation at its very best. Standard Mk.IX, fitted with two 20mm cannon and four 303 machine guns. There's also a version, the Mk.IX-C, that was fitted with a universal wing. And you can put a variety of guns in that, including two 20mm and a pair of 50 cals. There's also stressed for hard points under the wings. You can carry a pair of 250 or 500 pound bombs under the wings. You also carry a long-range fuel tank under the centre fuselage section, sorry. But one of the things I love, now this is Spitfire history at its best, is we had all these troops and all these airmen in France after D-Day, and I used to know Jim Lacey. He was a Battle of Britain pilot, and he was an extraordinary man. He was still flying as a flying instructor up in Yorkshire as far as the 1980s. That's where I got to know him. I learned to fly in Yorkshire. And Jim said, the problem was, the French wouldn't know a decent pint of bitter if you poured it down their throats from a golden tankard. So we had to solve this problem. Troops in France would go pint. So they adapted the bomb ranks on a number of Spitfires based at the Tangmere wing, not to carry bombs, but to carry standard brewery casks of beer. And in that guise, as a sort of flying tray, the Spitfires were carrying kegs of beer across to France for the troops in France. And I love that. It's such a very British Forces thing to do. To commemorate that, and I'll take my hat off to them for this, Airfix have recently reissued their beautiful Mark 24 Spitfire kit, 24 scale Spitfire Mk.IX kit. Not with bombs, but with the beer casks under the wings in 24 scale, and it's absolutely fantastic. I wonder if they paid any duty on the beer. There's a question for me. The extra 500 horsepower the Merlin 60 series produced. It was also the fact that it had a two-stage supercharger, so it was producing that amount of horsepower all the way up to high altitude. That's what made all the difference to the Spitfire, to this aircraft, and that's why it was as successful as it was. Amazing machine, really, if you're thinking stuff.